Welcome to Team Scuba Open Water Diver Unit 3. Unit 3 will introduce you to the concepts of dive planning, problem recognition and control, and boat diving. Good dive planning is one of the best ways to make sure that you and your diving companions will have an enjoyable time after getting to your dive site. Planning dives can be broken down into 3 separate steps: advanced preparation, equipment preparation, and pre-dive preparation. In the first step of advanced planning, choose your buddy, your destination, and the dive. You and your buddy will want to decide on the kind of activities that you will do together during the dive. It is important to agree on what you will do together. Some possibilities include photography, sightseeing, or marine animal identification. Having a common goal will make it easier to stay together as a buddy team. As an example, if you want to photograph animals and your buddy wants to hunt them, it will be hard to remain together as a buddy team. Decide on what kinds of things to bring, such as food, first aid equipment, and other items. Agree on who is responsible to bring them. Check the weather in the location where you will be diving and consult the local tide tables. It can be very helpful to discuss the conditions with a dive shop in the local area. Learn as much as you can about the emergency response system in the local area of the dive site. Write down any phone numbers that you may need and make sure you know where the nearest telephone is. Check your scuba equipment that you will be taking with you early enough in advance to make repairs or replacements if you need to. Inspect your equipment thoroughly and assure that it is in proper working order. Put all your diving gear in one location and use a checklist to make sure that nothing is forgotten. If you are using your own scuba tank, check that the hydro date is current, the visual inspection is current, and the tank is filled with fresh air. Pack your equipment bag so that when you unpack it, the first things that you will need are on the top. Pack last things first so that they are on the bottom. Make a final check so that nothing is forgotten. Before leaving for the dive site, discuss your dive plan, including location, times, and when you will be back, with someone that is remaining behind. Give them any specific instructions to do if you are delayed. Gather your personal gear together, including your certification card, logbook, area maps, lunch, and water. Protection from the sun is especially important when you are on or near the water, so be sure to pack sun protection, jacket, and a hat. When you arrive at your dive site, pick a good vantage point from where you can evaluate the water conditions. You and your buddy should decide together whether or not the conditions are favorable and that the skill levels for both divers are adequate for the conditions that exist at the dive site. If either of you are apprehensive about the dive or worried that you haven't had the training needed for the conditions present, choose another site or find another activity for the day. If your plan changes, notify the person who you left your original dive plan with. If after your appraisal of the conditions at the dive site, you and your buddy decide to make the dive, make your decisions on entry and exit points in and out of the water, and discuss any special techniques that you will need. Review hand signals and other types of communication that you will use. Discuss what you will do if you become separated. Agree on depths, bottom times, and a return air pressure. You should also decide on what to do if an emergency arises. When you begin your dive, dive your plan. You will find that this will make your dive safer, easier, and more enjoyable with fewer surprises. If you decide that you cannot safely make the dive with good safety margins, choose an alternate site and notify someone that your dive plans have changed. If you cannot find a place that you can safely make your dive that day, choose an alternate activity and make your dive another day. Most problems that divers encounter can be avoided by knowing and diving within your limitations and keeping yourself physically fit and ready to dive. By following safe diving rules and guidelines and following your dive plan, you will be able to make all of your dive outings safe and pleasurable ones. If a problem does arise, though, you will want to be able to care for both you and your buddy. In this section, we will cover some of the basic concepts of managing a diving problem. Before you can be effective in problem management, you must first be able to recognize how diving problems occur and their early signs and symptoms. The most effective way to manage problems is to recognize the early factors leading to them and then make the necessary corrections before they happen. Once a problem occurs, you must be able to manage the problem where it occurs, at the surface, underwater, or ashore. Lastly, you must be able to provide assistance. This means that you must have the knowledge to be effective as well as keeping yourself physically fit and prepared to dive. Most diving problems occur at the surface. Divers who need assistance but are in control will usually signal for help. They will appear at ease and breathing normally. Their equipment will be in place, and they will be more attentive and moving in a slow and deliberate manner. If a problem occurs at the surface, immediately establish positive buoyancy for the victim by either inflating the BCD or by releasing the weights or dropping the weight belt. Do not hesitate to signal for help. Wave your hand or use a whistle if you have one. Divers who have lost control at the surface may be struggling to hold their head high above the water. Their regulator may be abandoned or their mask may be shoved up onto their forehead. A diver exhibiting these signals is in need of immediate assistance. Without assistance, he will continue to struggle until completely exhausted and unable to stay afloat. Panicked divers may be difficult and dangerous to deal with. The best way to assist a panicked diver at the surface without endangering yourself is to provide the diver with flotation. Anything that will provide sufficient flotation will help. Throwing a life ring with a rope attached or an inflated BCD to tow the panicked diver to safety is usually the best approach. Diving problems that happen at the surface include overexertion, cramps and choking, and inadequate flotation. There are 4 basic steps to assist another diver. 1. Help the diver establish positive buoyancy. 2. Calm the diver down. 3. Help the diver reestablish breathing control. 4. Assist the diver back to shore or the boat if necessary. If choking on water, hold your regulator or snorkel in your mouth and cough through it. Swallowing sometimes helps to relieve choking and gain control of your airway. Keep your mask in place and make sure your BCD is sufficiently inflated. Each cough lowers your lung volume and will decrease your buoyancy. Problems underwater can easily be prevented by diving in a relaxed manner, monitoring your air supply frequently, and diving within your limits. When a problem occurs underwater, it is most likely due to overexertion, running out of air, or entanglement. Moving slowly and deliberately during your dive is a good way to prevent the symptoms of overexertion. Breathe deep, full breaths and pace yourself. Overexertion can cause an excess buildup of carbon dioxide in your blood, and this may give you a feeling of air deprivation, even though you are getting plenty of oxygen. If you feel you are becoming overexerted, stop. Hold on to something firm and steady that can give you support. Relax and breathe slowly and deeply until your normal breathing pattern is restored. When you have regained control, continue your dive in a slower and more relaxed manner. Running out of air is easily avoided by assuring that your equipment is well maintained and that you start your dive with a full air supply in your tank. Make sure that your tank valve is fully open before you begin your dive, and check your air supply frequently during the dive. If you are diving deeper than is normal for you, remember that your air will be used up faster. Check your SPG even more frequently than usual. If you experience an out-of-air problem while submerged, you have 2 choices to get safely to the surface: an alternate air source ascent or an emergency swimming ascent. If you can't make a normal ascent on your own main air supply, the next best choice is to ascend to the surface using an alternate air source. Your buddy will have an alternate second stage regulator or octopus that you can use to make the ascent together. An alternate air source that you carry with you is also a good choice for making a safe, slow ascent to the surface if your buddy is not nearby. Small emergency air systems are commercially available from your dive store professional. These devices can be carried in a BCD pocket and contain enough air for a slow ascent to the surface from normal recreational diving depths. If your buddy is too far away to assist you and you have no self-contained alternate air source, you must make an emergency swimming ascent. From depths of 40 feet, 13 meters, or shallower, you can easily swim to the surface at a normal ascent rate while continuously exhaling through your regulator to release the air expanding in your lungs. Remember to never hold your breath. Control your ascent rate by releasing expanding air from your BCD as you ascend. When at the surface, add air to your BCD orally for sufficient positive buoyancy. If your depth is greater than 40 feet, 13 meters, and you must make an emergency ascent to the surface, release your weight belt or weights, making sure that they drop away freely, and swim to the surface. Make sure that you continuously exhale through your regulator to the surface. Never hold your breath. Releasing your weights will make you ascend faster than recommended ascend rates and should only be used if you are in doubt that you can reach the surface any other way, since the risk of a decompression illness problem is greater. Your rate of ascent will increase as you near the surface. You can slow yourself down somewhat by bowing your body while facing the surface and flaring your arms and legs to increase your drag through the water. Near drowning occurs when an unconscious diver has been submerged in water. If a diver is discovered unconscious underwater, he must be brought to the surface as quickly as is safely possible. Do not endanger yourself in the process by exceeding safe ascent rates. At the surface, establish positive buoyancy and signal for assistance. Check to see if the diver is breathing. If he or she is not breathing, start mouth-to-mouth ventilation while swimming the diver to the boat or shore. You will learn more about how to do this efficiently and safely during advanced training in your rescue diver class. Rescue diving training is available from your instructor and diving professionals at your local dive store. Once the diver is out of the water, if no pulse is present, continue mouth-to-mouth ventilation and perform CPR. Alert the emergency medical system and continue CPR until the victim begins breathing on his own or until someone relieves you. If the diver is unconscious but breathing normally, maintain an open airway and keep the victim on his back with the feet elevated. Provide warmth and give oxygen if available. Diving from a boat will offer you some great advantages. You can easily gain access to the best dive sites, have some assurance of the best visibility, and see the largest variety of marine animals. To make sure that your experience on a dive boat is a good one, thoroughly learn the terminology and procedures that are used there. Let's start by learning some of the more common terminology that is used aboard a dive boat. As you face the front of the boat, the right side is called the starboard side. The left side is called the port side. The pointed front end of the boat is called the bow, and the back of the boat is called the stern. If the captain or crew asks you to move forward, this means that you should walk to the bow. If asked to move aft, go toward the stern. Going below or below decks is usually where the sleeping quarters or berthing spaces are. The restrooms are called heads, and the kitchen is called the galley. The windward side of the boat is the side that the wind comes from, and the leeward side is the side away from the wind. Some areas of the dive boat, such as the berthing spaces and galley, will be off-limits to divers who are dressed in wet diving clothes. Plan your arrival at the dive boat at least 1 hour before the scheduled boat departure. This will give you enough time to check in with a crew member, complete all necessary paperwork, and find a place for your gear bag and dry clothes. After the boat gets underway, there will be time to prepare yourself and your equipment for the day's diving activities. When the boat is anchored at the dive site, a member of the crew or your dive master will orient you to the dive site. Listen closely as the crew points out the areas of interest, explains what to look out for, and discusses emergency recall procedures and the emergency recall signal. Emergency recall is the procedure followed if the boat finds it necessary to change position while there are divers in the water. During the briefing, the crew will identify for you the entry and exit points for divers and the times that entries and exits will be allowed. You will also be told the preferred methods for entering and exiting the water from the boat. Boat captains have your safety in mind, and they know the inside scoop on entering and exiting for their boat. If you hear the boat's recall signals while underwater, begin your ascent to the surface with your buddy immediately, but surface safely. As you ascend to the surface, look up and extend a hand over your head for protection from things that may be floating above you. Rotate slowly as you ascend to provide a 360-degree view of your surroundings and the surface. After surfacing, inflate your BCD for buoyancy and signal the boat that you are okay unless you are in need of assistance. Look towards the boat for further instructions. When you are ready to exit the water, don't crowd the exit area. Stay at least 10 feet, 3 meters away from the exit point for safety. When it is your turn to exit, hand any accessories that you may have, like cameras or goodie bags, to a crew member or other diver on the boat. The deck of a dive boat can be a very busy place. A deck cluttered with diving equipment can make things difficult and hazardous. When back on the boat, place your equipment back into your dive bag and stowed out of the way so that it remains safely in one place and ready to use again for the next dive.